You can kind of count this video as a sort of PSA as well as of like a okay, this actually happened kind of thing, as there was slash is a rather elaborate RMA fraud going on over on Amazon for Ryzen processors. So while Amazon is seemingly aware of this, I would not be surprised to see it hanging around for a little while longer, namely because obviously they can just create new accounts, but because the scam is actually quite elaborate. But let's back up, let's start from the beginning. Basically, we have two separate users who have reported falling for the same scam, which is fairly likely to be operated by the same person slash people, and they basically received a fake Ryzen processor for their troubles. Now, Amazon obviously refunded them, and they even got a gift card as a hey, we're sorry, and obviously eventually they got the real deal. But that doesn't change the fact that there is someone doing a rather elaborate and convincing scam. You know, the problems only really begin when you actually receive the product, because the box, the outer box, and both the smaller inner box that has the chip itself both look legit. They look like they were actually from a Ryzen build, that they probably bought the chip themselves, or took out the actual Ryzen chip, replaced it with their fake one, and used all the packaging to make it look all legit. And it didn't just stop there though. It's not like as soon as they saw the inner sleeve and where you can see the little window with the Ryzen logo, it's not, even then it's actually fairly difficult to tell, because it is an LGA based Intel processor that the users actually received, but they somehow managed to not only remove the Intel markings on top of the package, they then managed to place pretty legit looking Ryzen markings as well. And the first instance of this scam was posted on the PC Master Race subreddit by a user by the name of Shooter999, and I want to include that and another Reddit thread that we'll get to in a second in the description / pinned comment below. Both probably, because, I'd like to be different, I guess. Regardless, you can see, especially in the first user's Imgur thread, the lengths that this person went to, and how legit the chip actually looks, especially when it's inside the sleeve of the actual box. The problems only begin when you take the chip out and see that the plastic sort of bubble that it's in was clearly opened and then resealed, probably with a lighter. And, well, the fact that they were supposed to be getting the Wraith cooler with this, and what they received looks like it was torn out of a radiator that's been sitting on a council estate for about 10 years. So, clearly not the Wraith. And obviously, because it's not actually Ryzen, the pins are all wrong and are obviously not going to fit into an AM4 motherboard. Now, if you've got a real deal AM4 motherboard, the chance of permanent damage is relatively low. They also don't have any pins on the socket, so unless you really try and jam it in there, if you perhaps have fallen victim to this yourself or whatever, or if you're worried about this, there is a small chance, but a small chance compared to the better chance of it not doing any damage if you somehow decided, hey, this looks fine, even though obviously it wouldn't. Just saying that, don't panic, basically. Now, it's the fact that both users, because this happened to a second person, and that's another faked Ryzen with pretty much the same methods used, they both received the same style of cooler, which again looked like it had been ripped out of a radiator. That obviously it leads you to the fairly reasonable conclusion that this scam was orchestrated by a single person who somehow has a lot of these old heat sinks lying around, as well as of course a bunch of Ryzen empty boxes to fool people with. Clearly what this person or people have done, also we don't know, this is a pretty elaborate scam. I would not be surprised if it's multiple people being involved. But what they're doing, whoever it is, however many people it is they're buying a real Ryzen processor, they swap the insides with a fake one, close enough in weight and appearance to fall any inside checks, and then they RMA it. And basically, they send that back to Amazon like, hey, this isn't right, it doesn't work, or I changed my mind, or whatever. And, if it goes back to the warehouse, the Amazon worker's probably going to look at it going, okay, that looks fine, the weight feels right, I can see the Ryzen label inside there. They're just in a rush to get through the huge pile of RMA that they probably already have, and then obviously it goes into a big pile which is then resold, and obviously the cycle continues. So the fact that this has happened 2 times in a row is fairly concerning, and again, while Amazon are aware, they obviously don't know who exactly the people are. I mean, I'm sure they can figure out somehow, But the point is, they don't know how many more of these are in their inventory right now. So if you're thinking of buying a Ryzen processor on Amazon, just be really, really careful. And obviously, if things look hinky, then just tell Amazon and they will give you your money back, because that is what's happened to these two users. Amazon most likely will be eventually able to figure out who has done this, and obviously if there are multiple accounts doing it together, then it shouldn't be too hard for them to crack down. To be honest, the best thing you can do here is, if you're buying, you know, any of the Ryzen stuff, Ryzen 7 5, the Wraith cooler and so on, whatever, from Amazon at the moment, just get it from AMD directly, like get it from Amazon, you know, official. Refrain from third-party sellers, and if you get it from Amazon directly, then obviously if something's wrong, if you've been sent one of their dud ones in the inventory because, you know, they didn't realise or whatever, then they will happily replace it. You might have a harder time if it's a third-party seller. And obviously just film the unboxing so that they know that you haven't tried to pull this yourself, and that, hey, this is how it arrived. And do also know that obviously both Intel and AMD don't do a sticker on the chip to say, hey, this is an Intel i7 or this is a Ryzen 7 or whatever. It will be actually laser engraved onto the heat spreader, which is obviously a fairly difficult thing to fake. So if it's a sticker, then alarm bells should be ringing in your head immediately. Unfortunately, I doubt much is going to happen legally speaking, because if they have been RMA'd through Amazon, then obviously it's up to Amazon to check each refund that they get, and they missed this, it seems like. From what we can gather, this is someone sending these back pretending they haven't tampered with them, and Amazon missing it because they've gone to great lengths to fake it. So nothing's going to happen there, I don't think. Obviously they're going to be banned and blacklisted from Amazon, and Amazon might try and seek legal action, but given that it was their responsibility to check this, they're probably not going to get very far. But the point is, this is happening right now. Amazon are aware, but who knows how many more of these are in their inventory. So just stick to Amazon, refrain from third party, and if the worst happens, just tell Amazon, they'll give you a refund. There's no need to panic. I just wanted you guys to be aware, because obviously Ryzen is pretty cheap right now. There's a lot of people buying, you know, Ryzen 5s and 7s or whatever. So just be aware is all I'm saying. So, with all that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.